Are you a master of your time, or are you a slave of your day? Are you calm, collected, and in control, or are you running all day from one thing to the next? Today, we're going to explore the journey called time mastery. We are going to see that this is a skill that anyone can master. There is hope for all of us, but it takes focus and it takes discipline. In my more than 15 years with McKay Forums, I've worked with hundreds of CEOs and executives. I've seen members on this whole continuum of time mastery. On the one end of the continuum, I've seen what I call the time masters. I've seen them arriving early for meetings. They're open and friendly. They're making eye contact. Their documents are ready. And when it's time to speak, they lean in and speak with authority and inspiration. They're clear. They're concise. They're compelling. They bring value wherever they go. They're curious about other people and always willing to help. That's the first group, the time masters. And then there's the second group. 10 minutes before the meeting, 5 minutes before the meeting, I start getting urgent messages. If they make it on time, there's a bit of a disruption as they join the meeting. Traffic gets blamed. They have to go out to use the washroom when we get started. And during the meeting, they're not really fully prepared, and they constantly get interrupted with little messages here, messages there. And it's difficult to keep them occupied and engaged and in the meeting. That's the second group. And then there's everything in between. Now, there's no judgment. We all have been in, maybe in both of those places, certain times of our careers. And we're all on a journey of discovery and improvement. But let me tell you about one of my members. We'll call him Tom. I was doing a check-in meeting with Tom, and I mentioned to him that I noticed that he falls into the second group, that he's late, that he's not well prepared. And I was just curious and said, what is going on in your life, Tom? How can I help? And he said to me, Nico, I'm ready to quit. I just cannot cope with my workload. There's just so much going on in my life. Every day I get hundreds of emails. I've got to do all these things. I have to be in all these places. I'm running from one thing to the next, and there's barely time to prepare for anything. So I'm behind all the time. I'm just trying to survive. I haven't seen my family for months. I have no life. I'm ready to quit. We took some time to unpack this, and I suggested to Tom that we start at the very beginning. That first of all, we have to bring in some tools into his life that'll help him become a master of his time. Because if he becomes a master of his time, the other pieces of his life will fall into place, because he will have the time to devote to those things and devote it in the important places. And the first tool that I introduced to him is called the Wheel of Life. Now, the Wheel of Life is a document we use all the time in our retreats at McKay, and I use with my coaching clients. And basically what this is, it's like a map, it's a circular diagram, like a pizza. And this pizza has got 8 slices. Now, you can adjust these slices the way you want, but normally we use the areas as follows. We use things like career, money, health, spouse and romance, friends and family, personal growth, fun and recreation, and the physical environment. So in each one of those areas, I asked Tom to rate each of those areas in his life from a 0 to a 10 to see in which of those areas he is not happy with what he is achieving right now today. And this helped him to focus on what is important and what is the big picture that he needs to look after. He scored things like friends and family very, very low. His personal growth was very, very low. Fun and recreation didn't exist because he was simply surviving. The money was good, the career was going somewhere, but the rest of it was not good there. And he wanted to quit anyways. So that was the first thing. And we had to unpack those things so that he could see the big picture first. The next thing we took on was to build his rocks or his 90-day plan for the next quarter. And the idea here is to pick from those areas that you need to focus on, those important areas, and to choose 3 to 7 things in the next quarter that you can focus on to make that better. If you have too many, if you have 17, that is not something achievable. And if you have 17 goals, you really have no goals. You need to simplify it and have 3 to 7. And I encourage Tom to pick a couple, some for the family, some to have fun again, and to be diligent and make the time in his calendar and protect it in his calendar. Something we do in the 90-day plan with McKay is that we have a game changer for each of the important goals. So as an example, a game changer is someone or a tool that will help you achieve what you're setting off to do. So I suggested to him for his family goal to get his wife to be his game changer so that she could work with him and his EA to set aside that time on his calendar so that he could be there for the kids and their important events. Obviously, he couldn't be there for everything. He's a busy executive running a busy business, but he could be there for the most important ones. And his wife and his EA worked with him to make sure that those areas in his calendar were kept separate and he was able to go there. That's an example of how he could do it. But because he had 3 to 7, he could start working on it. The third tool that we worked on was his daily habits. And I call it your daily happiness list. Some people call it your daily sanity list. Now, this list needs to be drawn up either the night before or the day of, early in the morning, before you open up emails or anything else. Because the moment you get involved in the emails or text or calls, you're drawn into the business and you cannot see the big picture. So before the day starts, list all of the things that you need to do today, your to-dos, and pick 1 or 2 things from your rocks that you're going to work on today as well. So I encouraged Tom to say, there needs to be something that came from the wheel of life that he works on every day so that he pushes that forward. But then he also has to rate everything on his list from importance and urgency from those 2 sides. And if something was urgent and important, that obviously would go to the top of the list. If something was urgent but not important, he would have to ask the question, why is this on his list? And maybe he can do it later in the week. Maybe it's something that can simply be scheduled out. It's urgent, but it's not important. If something was neither urgent nor important, it is something that he had to get rid of altogether. Either delegate it, but if it's not urgent or important for the business, maybe it's something that needs to be stopped. And so he had this urgency and importance way of prioritizing his daily list every day. And by drawing up the list, he could see the list during the day. And as he makes progress, he could take stuff off the list so he sees the progress throughout the day. Now, obviously, things will come up during the day, urgent things, but they will have to be slotted in. And whatever you cannot finish on that day simply gets taken over to the next day. And so that progress is always there. And it feels to Tom at the end of his day that he's making progress. So that's the third tool we worked on him. Now, from Tom's example, I'm only telling you about 3 different tools we use. There are many more tools that we teach and that I bring to my clients and my McKay members. Tom, after about 2 months, started seeing a great improvement. He started seeing his kids again. He started having a life again. He realized that he isn't the only person who could do certain things in his business, and he could pass that on, and he could elevate other people in the business to take on certain tasks. And he could see the progress. Now, we're 6 months later. Today, Tom arrives at the meetings much better prepared. He sometimes still gets sidetracked with certain messages, but overall, there's progress, and we're continuously working on making this better. Time mastery. From Tom's example, you can see that this is a skill that anyone can master. There's hope for all of us, but it takes focus and it takes discipline. In my limited time with you today, I could only scratch the surface and talk about 3 of the tools that we use, but I think it gives you an idea. The bottom line is this: are you a master of your time, or are you a slave of your day? Where do you fit in on the continuum of time mastery? Do you have some work to be done? Thank you for your time.